Welcome to this episode of Beyond the PreCon featuring Drax. Today we're going to do a quick review of his hero signature cards, the interactions that make him amazing, and then we're also going to look at how we can improve his PreCon experience using only the core box and the cards available in his hero kit. Then we're going to talk about the hero packs that are going to enhance his gameplay. So you're listening to Play the Game with Steve, Beyond the PreCon. Alright, so Drax is a outlaw with a hand size of 6 and 14 hit points. He has a recovery of 4 and has a forced response. And it says, after you change to this form, remove all vengeance counters from your body, from your person, and heal 2 damage for each vengeance card removed that way. So that's pretty cool. So if you are in trouble and you're at low health, you can easily go back up by 4, 6, 8, or 10 hit points, which brings you right back into fighting mode. All right, so how do you get those vengeance counters? Let's go take a look. So Drax is a guardian in hero form with a hand size of 4, 1 thwart, 1 attack, and 2 defense. So that's kind of okay stats. But Drax gets +1 attack for each vengeance counter on him. And then how does he get those vengeance counters? It is a response. So after the villain attacks, okay, you place 1 vengeance counter on here to a maximum of 3, and if you cannot, then you draw cards. So that is super cool that he can draw cards from taking hits to the villain. And there's nothing more satisfying than saying, vengeance! After each attack. That means you're going to pay him back. All right, so one frequently asked question is, does Drax need to take damage in order to get a vengeance counter? No. All he needs to do is get attacked by the boss. So that's pretty cool. Quick way to actually increase those in a multiplayer game is to defend the first attack for somebody else and then get attacked yourself. So that's pretty fun. So you can, on turn 1, if you're playing on a 2-player game, you can actually have 2 vengeance counters right away. All right, so now let's take a look at some of his signature cards that make him amazing. All right, so your Drax experience is going to be very influenced by this card. The Dweety Mastery is that card that says every time he attacks, he gets the draw card. Now, if you get this in the early game, you're going to have an amazing time with Drax. If you get it in the late game, or if it gets discarded or anything else, yeah, Drax's experience does fall, it does diminish a lot. So this card is a key piece into his hero kit. Now he does have a couple of other cards that are pretty fun as well. I think the second most important card would be this knife that gives him a +1 attack, because a lot of his events and stuff like that are going to be increased by or affected by his attack strength. So that also is really good. Then he has his other knife that gives him retaliate. So another important piece, which is pretty fun. Then we have the Immortality card, which is too stubborn to die. If ever you get defeated, you set your hit points to 4. So depending on how many vengeance you got, you can go right back up to 10. So, and it doesn't exhaust you. So that's pretty fun. But this gets removed from the game. All right, after that, he has a super sweet ally called Mantis. We saw the love connection in the MCU. Weird love connection. And then she can heal 3 damage from an identity. Now, it's a great partner for Drax. It doesn't have to be Drax that she heals. She can heal anybody for 3. But with Drax, I think it's a really good pairing. So there you go, Mantis. All right, now let's take a look at some of his signature cards that are super good. So we have 2 copies of Fight Me Coward that lets you ready up, draw a card, and get the villain attacking you. So that is, again, great ways to get vengeance counters up early and quickly. Then we have the Knife Leaps, this is his money card. So these Knife Leaps give him +5 attack, and they cost 1 less for each vengeance counter you are. So if you're in the early game, unless you absolutely need it, you can pay 3 for it, but most of the time you want to see these on turn 3, like on your on your third turn. Well, there we go. So, and then they are dependent on your hero attacking. So if you are exhausted, these don't do much. All right, so there you go. Then we have his paybacks. Now this is a very interesting card after the villain attacks you. So how does this work? After the villain attacks you, you can deal X damage to the villain where X is equal to your attack. Now because this is a hero response and this is a hero response, you can put the vengeance counter first and then do the payback. Now one little rules question, really important. If ever there's a guard minion engaged with you, you will not be able to do payback because it is an attack and guards prevent you from attacking. So that is important to remember. Then finally, he has, I think, one of the best defense cards in the game. It is called Parry. So this is going to be affected again by your level of attack. So this is going to prevent X damage where X is double your attack. So if you have an attack of 2, you prevent 4. Attack of 3, prevent 6, and so on and so forth. When he's fully built, only with his core kit, he can prevent up to 10 damage. So that is sweet. All right, and then finally, his Intimidation. Now this is his threat removal card, and it is also dependent on his attack. So the higher the attack, the better this card gets. All right, so that is his signature kit. Very, very fun. There's no denying that, and I'm just going to say this now, there's another green hero in the Avengers that is super jealous from this hero kit. All right, that's enough about that. Now, let's take a look at his pre-constructed deck and how we can increase that gameplay experience. Drax was introduced to us in the protection aspect, and it was a very, very good choice. It was all about damage mitigation and preventing damage and, being able to do some fun stuff with that aspect of the game. So here are some of the cards that are presented. He does have a few reprints. There's only 7 reprints, which are the 3 double resources, the 2 counterpunches, and the 2 indomitables. But these are excellent in his hero kit. All right, let's take a look at some of the new cards we got in protection. First one, let's talk about Leading Blow. Now that card is amazing. If you attack, you discard the top card of the villain deck, and you reduce that amount of attack by the number of boost icons. But since Drax can get his attack up to 5, and the most frequent boosts are either 3, 2, or 1, you're always going to hit, which is going to land you extra attacks. So this is very fun, and it's great with other characters as well. The next one, my favorite, is Hard Knocks, where you get to deal 4 damage, and then you get a tough card if you defeat that enemy. Very, very fun. Again, Drax being tough is the bomb, because then you can just take the hit and get a vengeance counter for free. Very good. Then we have Deflection, and this is prevention for other characters. If you defeat an enemy, if you can prevent the damage, and you discard cards from the top of your deck until you for the damage prevented, which is an okay card. It's not my favorite. I won't lie. It's not my favorite card. Subdue, which is an interesting card. Again, when an enemy initiates an attack, you get to give -3 to that enemy. Now, what's great about this is even if the enemy attacks you for 1, all right, and you play Subdue, if he gets a boost of 2, his attack is still going to be 0. Because it doesn't change the effect. It gets -3, but if with the boost card, we calculate the plus and minuses, and then if its total attack is 5, you go -3, and then he's only attacking you for 2. So this is very good with Drax, especially in the early game while you're trying to set up. This is a very fun card. All right, then we have 2 new allies. Moondragon, which is a weird ally, but this ally has a sweet ability that gets you to choose a minion, and that minion is going to attack an enemy of your choice. So it's kind of like a mind control guy, girl. And then, but it's only good if there's really strong minions in the villain deck, or else Moondragon doesn't really do the job. And then we have Martyr, that if she kills minions, defeats minions after taking consequence damage, she does get a tough status card. So that is an interesting effect. Where she can take a hit, block after that, and then for somebody else. So it's a cool protection ally that is aggressive, so I like it. And then we got some basic cards. We got Athletic Conditioning, which is another non-favorite card of mine, which allows you to remove 1 stun or confuse. And then we have Gamora, who fetches 4 events when she attacks or thwarts. So all in all, the deck is pretty fun, but there is a lot of ways to make it a lot better. So let's take a look at some of the cards that I would remove and replace with some of the core cards to make this deck experience way better. So the first things I would remove are the athletic conditionings. Even though Drax might get stunned, I think between the counter punches and stuff like that, it's okay. It's not going to happen too often. But if you see you're playing a villain that has a lot of stun and confuse in his kit, then I would probably leave those there. Then I would remove the deflections. Again, it's all 3 copies. It's an okay card. I don't like it until you are set up. So, because you don't want to lose your knife, you don't want to lose your Tweethy mastery. So deflection for me was, oh man, I'm not going to play this card until my second deck pass when I have all my good signature cards on the table. So that's why for me this is another dismissal. So we already took out 6 cards. I think we can remove a couple extra ones. Again, Moondragon, not my favorite ally. He's just okay. So that's 7 cards. Let's just remove a couple more. I think we do remove 1 copy and 2 copies of Subdue to replace it with some things that are just going to make our experience better. So what are we going to replace this with? Well, it's pretty simple. We're going to add a couple of extra counter punches. So we are going to defend a couple. So we're going to add that. We're going to add another Indomitable. So again, we get ready after we defend. So again, we're preventing damage, but we are putting permanence on the table, which is what we need. And the more cards we have on the table, the less card is in our decks. So it makes our experience a lot better with Drax because we see his signature cards more often. Because we're going to be defending so much, I did put a armored vest. And then I added a couple of extra cards called the Med Teams. Now, why did I add the Med Teams? Well, one, we want to heal Mantis, or we can heal ourselves. So if we're ever in trouble, Mantis can heal us for 3, or the Med Teams can heal us for 2. So that's pretty decent. I also added 2 Get Behind Me's because this is another way to cancel really nasty treacheries. And then have the villain attack us to get more vengeance counters, and then we can, defend with the counter punch and stuff like this. So we are very passive aggressive. And then finally, I added 2 powers of protection, just because we want to pay for the Med Teams, and then we can pay for those hard knocks a lot easier. So there you go. So these are the 9 cards that I would switch up to play Drax. Now let's take a look at some of the hero kits, the hero packs that are going to enhance this game experience. Now, in all honesty, protection is 100% the best aspect for Drax. I've tried him in aggression, I've tried him in leadership, I've tried him in other aspects. I still think with everything that we have now in protection, even just using these core cards, it is true to the essence of what Drax wants to do, which is mitigate damage and then inflict high damage, and then you don't have a better counter punch and payback. It's crazy. If you have an attack of 5 and you defended, you can deal 5, 10, 15 damage with 3 cards. It's just so good, and then you can ready and then attack again. So this is very, very fun. I think protection definitely is key. But we're going to look at some of the hero kits that can enhance that. All right, my first recommendation, and I think this is the only one you actually need to make Drax amazing. It is the Sinister Motives campaign box with Ghost Spider's kit. Now, not only it gives you great options to increase your vengeance counters with cards like Bait and Switch, and then also control the main scheme, it also gives you ways to prevent damage and still control the main scheme. So these 2 cards here, very, very fun. If you paid with a lightning resource, you get to remove 2 threat, and this is the villain attacks you, get a vengeance counter, draw a card, and remove 4 threat from the main scheme. Super solid. It also gives you cards like What Doesn't Kill Me that readies you and heals you. But I think the best card in this king is the Symbiote suit that gives Drax +10 and +1 to all his stats. So just that alone makes Drax an amazing character to play. So the Ghost Spider, Sinister Motives box, definitely my #1 ultimate pick. All right. Secondly, I love the Vision pack for our friend Drax. One, it gives us more cards for damage mitigation in the form of Defiance, more damage mitigation in the form of Sidestep, and then it gives us ways to actually capitalize with card like Flow Like Water, so extra damage from every defense event. So our parries are defense events. So every time we play one of those defense events, we get to deal a damage to the attacking enemy. But I think the money card in this hero pack is Jocasta. Now, Jocasta allows us to go and take a defense event in our discard pile, which is our parry. So every deck pass, we can have 3 parries. So that is super, super solid. And that is why Mr. Vision is my second choice. All right. Number 3, I do like the SPDR card. Now, there's obviously a couple of reasons. I think the first one is this force field generator, which allows us to, again, mitigate damage and still get vengeance counters. Super solid. And then you combine this with repurpose, and then all of a sudden you're attacking with a +3, which is even better with Drax, because that's until the end of the round, I believe. Yeah. And you get to ready and until the end of the round. So that's amazing. It's just like, oh, I'll pay 3, I'll put this down. And so on turn 1, you can have an attack of 4, and then ready, and then to attack again. And then that's until the end of the round. So good. So if you have a parry turn 1, it doesn't become wasted. And then I think the best card in this kit, it is the Unshakable, that gives him steady because he has 14 hit points. So that is really, really what you want with Drax. No stunning and confusing, or making it very hard to stun and confuse our little Draxy friend. All right, so if you do like Drax in other aspects, I think the best hero pack to really enhance him in aggression would be the Hulk hero pack. The reason why, well, one, it gives you a protection card, which is electrostatic armor, again, if you're playing off those defense events, but mostly because of card like Toe to Toe, which you deal damage, you can get a vengeance counter, very, very sweet. And then also it gives you threat removal in aggression, where you don't really mind taking damage, so you'll pay for that. So you have a cool combo. You can, deal 5 damage. The villain attacks you. He attacks you for 3 or 4. You can remove 3 or 4 threat from any scheme. I think that's a really, really solid combination. The toe-to-toe, and then you'll pay for that. And then also you have a little martial prowess. So again, deck thinning for our friend Drax is never bad. So yes, Mr. Hulk. This is the guy that's jealous. Our other green giant. All right, and then we have a couple of honorable mentions. So first honorable mention is Doctor Strange. Why? Because again, it gives us the Night Nurse for protection. So allows you, if you don't like SPDR suit, you can just get this. And this allows you to remove stuns and confuse and heals. Talking about healing, we also have the Momentum Shift, which allows you to deal damage and heal, which is always good. And then finally, the Unflappable, which allows you to, once you make a perfect defense, so once you parry, you can actually take advantage of drawing an extra card from that. So that is pretty sweet. All right, and then finally, my last honorable mention, and it's only because there's one card that's really amazing. It is the Star-Lord Hero Pack, and it comes with the CITT, which you can spend 2 resources to ready. So that's the Guardians. That's the only thing I think is missing from the Guardian cycle, is more cards like, team building exercise, where you can use the Guardians, not team building exercise, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, where you can exhaust ready. I think that's the only card I would have liked to seen a Guardian version of, which would have made Drax even more amazing. But there you go. All right, is there any cards that I missed? Is there anything that you think, oh yeah, I could have mentioned that? I also thought about the Valkyrie pack because she has all these defense for attacks. But I think the only card I like in Valkyrie is the Quick Strike, which has to do with his attack. But aside from that, it was that. Anyway, so guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I tried a new format, trying to be a little bit more relaxed. I'm still trying to keep the pacing fast on Drax. So let me know if you guys enjoy this new style of video, like just maybe a little bit more toned down. But yeah, and trying to explain a little bit more. So there you go. Keep on playing Marvel Champions, and I hope this video will help you play the game. Ciao, ciao. See you next time.